Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Maybe you took your deer over to Mike's Star Market, whether it was from the rifle season or maybe muzzle loader. You got antlerless. I mean, there's still plenty of deer hunting options still left in the next month and a half or so. But, hey, let's let the expert talk about all that. Joining us now for our Tailgate Outdoors is Mr. Jake Bolks, Wisconsin DNR warden. Shoveled out, Jake? I mean, you get out, you're still out there. A lot of snow out there, man, since we last talked to you. So how you doing?
Lots of snow. I'm good. I woke up early like most people, most parents, because you got to get up and get everything done before you even start the morning breakfast routine and all that kind of stuff. So we're shoveled out, snow blowed out, and actually I snuck out a little bit yesterday myself and went muzzleloader hunting on the last day. So it was a good day. It's a lot of work when you're walking through, half a foot of snow or more.
Exactly. Well,
to go hunting it.
Did you see anything, have any luck? Or, I mean, because it ended yesterday, right?
It did. So the muzzleloader season ended yesterday, and the antlerless season starts today. But, yeah, I hunted with some guys, and we shot a couple of deer, and actually had a pretty successful muzzleloader season, which was pretty fun. So,
nice.
So I know we talked about it earlier this year, but there's a lot of opportunity out there. More tthan just like the 9-day traditional hunt. You have the muzzleloader, the antlerless season starts today, the bonus holiday hunt later in the year. So, lots of opportunity. Yeah,
no kidding. So, with that antlerless, I know we talked a little bit about it last week, but just kind of a reminder with it too. Can you bow hunt? Is it straight up just rifle season? If you can bow hunt, can you get a buck? Can you kind of go over maybe just to refresh it a little bit from what we chatted about last week?
Yeah. So the important thing to know about the antlerless season is that it's kind of like a traditional gun deer season in the sense of you still use your gun deer license. It's still a statewide season, and you can still go out and bow hunt, concurrently or at the same time. So you could go out and go crossbow hunting out of your stand or traditional archery hunting. You still have to wear blaze orange because there is a statewide gun deer season going on. But the most important thing about this antlerless hunt is that it's a statewide antlerless hunt for everything. So whether you're hunting with the rifle for the next 4 days, whether you're hunting with a bow, it's all does only. So you can't shoot any, again, even if you're not using your rifle, you can't shoot a buck with your crossbow and register it this week. So, or these next 4 days. So, basically everything's open, but you can't shoot a buck.
Got it. So I think that's kind of like an important, even if you are crossbow, bow hunting or whatever, you can't shoot a buck in these next 4 days.
Yeah, and I've had different people text me, which is awesome, the last couple of days, trying to get clarifying questions like, is it good on my private land? Is it good on the public land? Is it good in this county? And again, it's good everywhere. It's just you can't shoot a buck, and I think some people think that only applies to the rifle, but it applies to everything. Whether you're using no matter what kind of equipment you're using, you gotta shoot does the next 4 days.
Right. Switching over because we've had a few people text this, and I'm sure you're probably getting asked about this too. What are some of the ice conditions, Jake? I mean, have you been walking out on the ice and checking some ice fishermen? I got to imagine that's probably been a question that you've been getting quite a bit in the last few days, and probably even going to get more with the colder temperatures coming.
Oh yeah, it's a common question statewide. My public information officer reached out earlier this week and points because it must be everyone across the state asking the same question, which is good because that means we're transitioning to ice fishing and it's a fun time of year. But at the end of the day, no ice is ever 100% safe ice. I got to say that because it is the truth. It could be -10 for the next month, and you could go out there and find a spring where it's 2 inches of ice.
Mm-hmm.
But I went out Monday and Tuesday checking people on the ice on Altoona, Half Moon, Lake Hallie. There's plenty of people on the ice. It's still relatively thin. There's some spots where I'm a bigger guy with a bunch of weight on me with my body armor and stuff, and I was like, well, maybe we'll stop checking people over here and go to a different part. So just like anything, wherever you go, drill a couple test holes, bring a spud bar with you. It might seem goofy, but bring a life jacket, throw it in the honor sled, or even wear it. I mean, it keeps you warm on a day like this and a day like this weekend. If you got some warm clothes and then a life jacket on top of it, it's only more insulation. So just be mindful when you're out there and talk with other fishermen and talk with the sportsmen's clubs or whatnot. Mm-hmm. The state doesn't have like a all-inclusive ice thickness, report on the state website or anything like that. So you're not going to find anything on our DNR website.
Yeah, because that'd almost be you'd have to have somebody like checking every body of water and multiple people to help you out with that.
Yeah, it's not very practical.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's always kind of the boring part of the liability part of it. But at the end of the day, it's in my opinion, just use your common sense. Go to the spots where that are safe, and just be prepared and plan for like a worst case scenario. That way, if it does happen, you're ready.
Right. Jake, I got to ask you this because this has been, kind of all over the news in the last couple of weeks. Eau Claire having some mean turkeys or aggressive turkeys and such, and even like kind of maybe going after some people. It sounds like in some of these news reports. Not sure if you've kind of been involved with that or heard about it a little bit and such, but this probably isn't the first time that this has happened. I feel like you and I have kind of talked about this too, with like especially turkeys in the city and in this area.
Yep. Yeah. So it's a reoccurring theme when it comes to turkeys in the city. It's unfortunate that these turkeys got to be mean and attack the people that are just trying to enjoy their walks and going down the trail and whatnot. So, if you hadn't read the headlines or whatever, there's a couple turkeys that have been picking on people, and it looks like the USDA is working with the city to capture and release the turkeys. So it's not an uncommon thing. I'm from Minnesota, and I still got plenty of people that live in the cities, and a lot of people tell me they can't believe how many turkeys are in the Twin Cities. Even, I went to a wild game last year, and there's like 4 or 5 Jakes just huddled right outside the Xcel Energy Center. And so these turkeys are learning how to adapt to the urban environment. And the biggest thing that causes them to get aggressive like this is that not everyone's doing it, but there's a lot of people that are feeding the wildlife. Obviously they're going to pick at the bird feeders and stuff, and that is what it is, but there's tons and tons of people that feed the turkeys and deer and other stuff, but we're talking about turkeys here. So what happens is when you feed these turkeys, they don't just stay on one property. So then they go around and eat somewhere else, and they go somewhere else, and then they start getting habituated. And then when someone, tries to shoo them off their property, they realize, like, we're not really a predator in the city, and they get bold, and they're turkeys, they're birds.
Right.
They can be pretty defensive. So then they kind of attack or get defensive, and that's where we start having issues. So I think a big thing is just stop feeding. We need to stop feeding some of the animals that will help with it. But at the end of the day, it's just like how we've kind of encroached out on their environment. They're kind of encroaching on ours, and we got to learn to live together. But in this case, they're going to capture them and move them, and that's good, because some of these turkeys, you can't really, can't really re-habituate them or help them or explain to them not to be mean. You just got to get them out of there. Right.
Would the other thing be too, like, for people, because I remember a few years ago we had one hanging out in our neighborhood. I thought it was the coolest thing. Just it was our neighborhood, turkey fanning out now. But then you'd have like kids messing around with it and such. I mean, is that the other part of this too? Maybe for some instances where you see it, just don't pick on them yourselves, because then they might get defensive that way.
Right. Yeah, 100%. If you're gonna pick on an animal or harass an animal, it's gonna change its behavior pattern. So it's good that the city's working with USDA. Wardens don't get involved with something like that because it's not like a law enforcement issue. And our wildlife staff, work with the USDA to find the best, appropriate resource to get them out of there. Yeah, if you pick on them or you feed them or you do all that kind of stuff, this is the result of that. So the best thing to do with animals in the city is honestly just let them do their thing. It might not seem very natural that all these animals are moving through the city, but if we just let them be animals and we don't feed them and we don't pet them and we don't harass them, we don't, they're going to just keep moving and finding their patterns and stuff like that, and we can cohabitate with them. But like you said, the more we do stuff, the more it turns into situations like this.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Jake, I wanted to go back to kind of some hunting stuff in that, but this time of year too, with trapping, do you see an increase with people going out there and trapping and such, or is it about the same, at any other time period during these open seasons? Because I feel like when I think about hunting and trapping, it's kind of this time of year.
Oh, for sure. It's a lot of weather. Today, 20. You got me there?
Yep, I got you now.
Okay. Trapping today in 2025 is a lot different than trapping back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Fur prices are different. Animals are different. So there's no doubt there's plenty of guys out. I'd say, like, right now, especially with the snow, you're seeing a lot of bobcat trapping, a lot of bobcat hunters, a lot of coyote hunters, stuff like that. You got your fisher tags, you got your otter tags, you got all the other stuff you can go after. But like I said, weather plays a lot with it. The snow helps. Obviously, it's a lot easier to track an animal when you can just follow its footprints around versus no snow. But, if you're going to do on-ice beaver, sometimes you need thicker ice because the swamps really aren't frozen yet and different stuff like that. So it's definitely busy. I'd say kind of the beginning of the fall, early winter, and then late winter are kind of the hot times for trapping, just with it being better weather conditions and better ice conditions.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jake, before I let you go here.
And snow generally, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, no, you're good, man.
Before we let you go here, since we are at the beginning of the stages of maybe some ice fishing and such, anything that maybe you are seeing in these last couple weeks or the last week since we last talked to you that you'd kind of like just to throw out as a reminder, or any tips before anybody kind of really gets into the season?
Yeah, I'll give you my weekly regulations reminder. I would say is the best tip right now. I checked a few guys, and one thought they had. Well, I checked a few guys that thought they've had their fishing licenses but haven't. It's a good reminder that our licenses in the state are not like calendar. They don't go from January to December. They go from April to March. So like April 2025 through March 2026. So you need a fishing license. It's not going to reset at the end of this month or anything like that. So double check that you have one, and then don't wait to get one. I talked to a couple guys that just didn't have a fishing license, and it was simply that they wanted to save the $20 to next year, and that's not really an appropriate way to do it.
Right.
So double check you have licenses. Same conversation like before the deer season, making sure you have something before you go out and do it. And then read the regulations. Checked a couple people on different lakes that had illegal sized fish. They had too many fish because they didn't read the regulations. Altoona is a 10 panfish bag limit. Half Moon Lake has a different slot for largemouth and smallmouth bass, which I've never seen smallmouth in there, but it's different than the state regulations and stuff like that. So it's a good reminder to take a look at what the fishing regs are on that water body you're going to, because they're definitely going to be different wherever you go.
Oh, and one more thing I wanted to ask you, just because of this increase in snow that we got. I don't think there's any open, but probably a good reminder. Snowmobiles, ATVs, make sure they're all registered and up to date too. Yep.
ATVs, they can be on the lakes right now, stuff like that. They got to be registered on the lakes, but they're not going to be. You can't drive ATVs or UTVs on snowmobile trails, obviously, but you can't drive UTVs with tracks on snowmobile trails. Those are illegal. They rip up the trails too much. You're totally right. I'm starting to see sleds ripping around. I actually just drove by the first groomed trail I've seen so far. So that's a good sign. So it's all coming out. Make sure you got it all up to date. We're definitely all the wardens are excited. We got our snowmobiles ready. We got our gear ready. We're waiting just like everyone else to get those things ripping, and we have a few new ones here on the team, so I'm excited to go rip those things around. So get all that stuff prepared and ready so you save yourself potentially getting pulled over or a $200, $300, $400 ticket for just like a registration or equipment violation.
Right, exactly. All right, Jake, hey, appreciate it as always, man. Enjoy the rest of the week. Stay warm later on this week here too, sir.
Yeah,
so,
it's going to get cold.
Yeah, so be safe, and we'll catch up with you again soon, okay, sir?
Thanks. Yeah, we'll talk next week, but good luck to all the last of the hunters this weekend and the fishermen. Stay warm.